Hey guys, welcome to Man Talk. I'm Vince Milder, your founder and host. Good to be with you again. Hope you are picking up your copy of 30 Virtues That Build a Man. I'd love to put one of these books in your hand. You can get it right from the website at beresolute.org/30. That's THIRTY. Pick up one for just you. Maybe a group of men at your church, a group of men that you lead. You can pick it up for guys in your business. It'd be great for your son, maybe for someone you want to mentor or someone else that needs to be mentored. Today we're in the lesson entitled Brotherhood on page 52. So you want to turn your books there if you're with me and you want to follow along. Today I'm joined by Tyler VanEps. Thanks for being with us, man.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, great. How's life?
It's going good, man.
Good. Anything adventurous lately?
Adventurous. Let's see. Well, we had a 5-year-old birthday party at Urban Air Jump Park, Adventure Park yesterday. That is
Did you sweat like crazy? Did you sweat like crazy?
Dude, I was looking at my activity band, and I doubled up my most active day over the past 2 weeks. Just by jumping around with a bunch of 5-year-olds.
That sounds like a lot of fun. You know, my kids are older now, but there's a lot of guys out there, I'm sure, that have kids your age. All your kids are under what age?
5 and under.
5 and under. You're about to have another child.
Yes. Yep.
Oh my gosh, are you nuts? You psychotic?
Kind of.
You're going to be broke someday,
hey,
dude. I'm just going to let you know.
Urban Air Adventure Park. I'm good to go, man.
Just pretty soon you're going to discover all these cool little tactics to help you get free time. I'm going to give you a couple right now just so you know it. So, okay, first thing, you may want to write a couple of these things down because your wife's going to love you. Okay, I have done this multiple times, but do not tell the pastor of your church. I have literally come to church, dropped my kids off, and then gone out to eat breakfast with my wife. Yeah. Seriously, you totally should do that.
I'm down. I think that would work.
It's totally great when the kids' ministry is huge and there's no one at church, right? Yeah, don't tell Jeff Zog at your church. Before, yeah. Just drop them off and then quick go get breakfast. It's a great time to get away.
Now I got a question about that. What's the minimum age of the oldest before I'm able to do that?
I did it as soon as our kids were born. They got these like phone text messages they can send you now, I think. So if you're out at a restaurant 10 minutes away, you can still get back for the crying baby. Awesome. I mean, they're just going to have to be patient. I promise you, there's a children's director listening to this just totally agitated with me right now. That's right. So there's a little tactic for you. Anyway, so we're in the topic on brotherhood, not on baby making and baby tips. All right. So
that's
this
is
that's right. Baby tips for men. Yeah. So man, I love the topic of brotherhood. I think it's something that men need to build in their life. But come on, let's just be frank with each other. Men don't have brotherhood built into their life.
Man, no.
Why? Why do you think?
It's my fault.
It's your fault. Yeah. It's all his fault, guys. He blew it. It's Tyler's fault. Why do you think, though? I mean, there's probably been periods of your life you've had no brother in your life, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Seriously, why?
Yeah. Well, and with soon to be 4 kids, 5 and under, I've noticed it's been really, really tough since starting to have kids, and I think part of it's just pace, busyness. I feel like I'm working, and then I'm at home and 100% engaged with kids. So I have to be a lot more intentional about it. So I think that's one of the challenges. I don't think guys are as relationally intentional as our lovely counterparts tend to be. Maybe not as relationally driven. I think we're selfish in a lot of ways. I think a lot of it comes back to we want to do our best to arrange our world to meet our needs, and so much of brotherhood is definitely give and take. What are you investing into those relationships, knowing that you're gonna see a return from that? So yeah, all of the above: pride, selfishness, pace. A lot of things.
That's really good. In fact, I used to be a chaplain for a football team in the South, TCU football, and one of the things that I realized about being a part of an experience like that at a Division I level with football is there's a lot of brotherhood there. Yeah. It's really interesting to watch a team of 110 men and all the support staff and people like me kind of build brotherhood with these guys. You're living with them, you're in their face constantly, you're eating with them, you're working out with them, you're talking with them through challenges in life. There's just a lot of time spent together, right? Actually, I thought it was a unique expression of the church that I wish the church had.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? In fact, I told them many times, I think that there are parts of your world that are more like what many people wish the church was like today, right? That's like experiencing community at a whole nother level, man. Yeah. At a whole nother level. where you're accomplishing something together, but you're really living, eating, working, moving, having fun, being adventurous together, right? Accomplishing something. So, and I love it. But, I think one of the big challenges for men is a lot of the things that you've already said, which is beautiful and very articulate of you and very natural. But I also think that just add one little thing to it. It's the changes we experience in your life. You alluded to it already, but you go, look, I'm about to have a fourth kid. That is a lot of kids, man, right? And all under 5, maybe under 6, right? I mean, and you don't barely have time to sleep, bro, right? Like, much less like go out and hang out with some other brother, right? And I think these changes and these phases in life, they challenge it at each and every turn. And men, we're more relational than we give on. We're just not as intentional as women are in resolving the relationship along the way. So like when I'm younger, I have a lot of time, but I'm pretty selfish with my time. And then I enter this phase of career, and then career starts to consume me, and then I don't take time for brother. And then I get married, and my wife becomes the focus of my time, and then I start having kids, and kids become the focus of my time, and then I'm building a career to try to pay for all the things that I've now built up in my life, right? Pay for all the kids and the wife and the stuff and the house. And all those things consume me and keep me from the brotherhood that I so desperately need in my life. And I know that men need brotherhood because I've seen it tragically. I will tell you that when I meet someone whose life is falling apart, right, most of the time they have straight-armed themselves, Heisman themselves from brotherhood, and they're coming to me to share about their problems because I may be the only viable person that they know that they have a relationship with. But at that point, it's almost like it's gone too far, right? So we almost alienate ourselves from this brotherhood. Why do you think guys are afraid of brotherhood, Tyler? Why do you think they're afraid of it? What intimidates them about it to actually make it a priority?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And you may not know the answer to it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's okay to not know the answer to it because I think men are perplexed by this one.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Just take a guess. Why do you think men are afraid of brotherhood? What are they scared about in that relationship?
Yeah. I think a lot of times intimacy. I was having this conversation with someone recently, and it was intimacy with God was easy for them to understand. Intimacy with wife, with family, that was easy for them to understand. Intimacy with other men was a hard thing for them to wrap their minds around. And I think
it's a weird word to even use.
Exactly.
With guys, like, let's be intimate.
Yes. Yep.
Hold on a second. What do you mean by that? You know, right?
Well, I think, and as we started talking about it, that's exactly what we kind of landed on was how the word just feels weird. We talk about intimacy in a different context, and I think what we really started to land on was closeness and proximity that ends up changing just the way we feel, the way we think, the way we act, behave, all this kind of stuff. And I think that's a lot of times the most intimidating thing is I know brotherhood, godly brotherhood is going to change me. I know it's going to change the way I think. I know it's going to change the way I feel, change the way I act. A lot of times I don't want to. A lot of times comfort will keep you in a certain place when brotherhood's going to bring you out of that.
Yeah, so you think that some of it could be a failure to really understand what true brotherhood looks like.
Yeah.
So the intimacy word, let's stray away from using that anymore in this context. But there is something to a certain kind of male intimacy that's pretty powerful. I mean, when I read David and Jonathan, I mean, it is remarkable. It says at one point in his text, in the text of his life, that I'm going to probably screw this one up, but I'm going to get close, that David's love for Jonathan was beyond that of a woman. Yeah. And I don't believe that was sexual in any way. I just believe that there was such a strong human connection between the two, that there was a deep kindred spirit that was indescribable. Yeah. Right? Yep. And he's not talking about sexual intimacy here. He's talking about a type of knowing between two men that was very, very powerful, that watched out for each other, provided for each other, looked after one another, and it was just powerful. And we're kind of scared. I think that's one aspect of it. We're scared of what that intimacy might look like, right? Number two, I don't think we've ever had that kind of an intimacy. I mean, let's think about our relationship with our fathers, right? Like, and I hate to go all psychological and psychobabble on you, right? But I mean, like, my relationship with my father wasn't all that great, you know. And I think a lot of men's relationship with their father isn't all that great either. And because of that, we don't know how to develop that true intimacy with another man, and we're kind of scared about it. Like, what does it look like? Especially our teenagers. Like, I got a couple of teenage boys that still live in my house. One's 17, one's 14. They're actually both asleep right now because that's what you do at 11 in the morning and during the summer, right? That's right. You don't have to yell that. But I think what's so interesting about boys during kind of those teenage years is they're trying to understand, what does it look like for me to be intimate with my father? They start to break away and then start to reconnect, and that reconnection is really interesting when they start to hit 17, 18, 19. You know, as I experienced with my daughter, but we don't know exactly how to do it and how to navigate it, and haven't seen great examples of it. I didn't have a great example from my father. And so, you know, me trying to kind of teach these patterns and show them what that looks like and how we do that is sometimes hard and difficult. So not only do we not have healthy relationships or know what intimacy is, we don't have good examples. And I think we're kind of scared of it. So sometimes we're not sure if we have chemistry. Like you and I have chemistry right now, right? But we want to have chemistry with that other person, right? So we're kind of become over selective. Like, I don't want to spend time with him. He's a little like socially awkward for me, and he's not in my place in life. But then every once in a while we see someone we want to be like. We would love to spend time with them. Yeah. But then we don't go and ask them. Right? We don't invite them into our life. We don't build that bond of brotherhood. So there's all kinds of things going on. Yeah. I don't get it. I wish we were better at it. Like, how have you built brotherhood in your life? What have you done to overcome some of these obstacles, Tyler? Is there some tactic, some little tip?
Yeah. I think for me, I've recognized for a long time how valuable and just how important it's been in my life. And so I think I've made the mistake a lot of times of, hey, I'm going to try and vet this relationship at the first date type of thing, where I'm going to really, really see if this person's going to have my back type of thing. And so sometimes just rush and be like, oh, no, this person's not in. So for me, I think I've settled into a good pattern of just understanding stories. Just tell me your story. Like, over the last 3 years, what have you been doing? What do you like? What do you enjoy? Things like that. A much more casual approach than that. For me, it's always been, how do I get to that next level after going to a ball game, going to a brewery, coffee shop, something like that, hanging out. How do we get to that next step? And for me, that's been prayer. Hey man, you got something I can pray for you over the next couple weeks or something before we meet again? Can you pray for this for me? Prayer has actually been a big part of just kind of how I pivot a relationship in my life with another dude.
Yeah, I have found that I think you're saying, look, there's a definitive process to these things. It's kind of like, I don't want to use the word first date when like kind of getting to know a new guy, but I would say it would be something like sitting down with someone, having coffee, getting to know them, kind of seeing if the chemistry is right. Because there has to be some form of chemistry between the two of you, or if it's a group of guys or a couple of guys that you have in your life. But you kind of you're building some sort of chemistry and kind of seeing, are we going to kind of fit together in some form of formal spiritual mentorship relationship? And then it's like, coffee, grab a brew, whatever it is, and then take it to the next level, which is, hey, I'm going to be vulnerable with you a little bit. I kind of need help in this area. Can we talk about this specific issue or thing? Yeah. And inviting them into that, and then taking the next step, and then just kind of saying, oh, can we make this more routine? I think that's where great brotherhood is. I also think you could build it or start to build it around some skill you want to develop in life. For example, like, look, I want to be a better salesperson. I want to be a better leader. I want to be a better father. I want to be a better husband. You can choose one of those arenas of life, or those affinity groups is what I call them, and say, I'm going to invite you into this affinity conversation. Right, is a great way to kind of start it too, and kind of launch into it. But you still start with the chemistry thing. You always start with the chemistry thing, because if you ain't got that, you're never going to have it. And I think the other thing is, you don't really have to be in brotherhood for forever. Right? We don't have to be in one relationship for eternity. Jesus wasn't in one relationship for eternity. He was with his guys, his 12, for 22 months. It was it. Yeah. It wasn't eternity. It's not, we're not signing a contract that says for the rest of my life I have to sit with this awful person who I'm going to gain a little bit of truth from, but I'm not going to gain everything, because there is a limit to how much wisdom we can pass on to one person, right? Yeah. But there is deeper learning that can happen by being with people long term too. I think that's true. So anyway, that's kind of some of the things I was thinking about, especially as you think about the book of John today as we read in our text from John 17. It's kind of cool. Jesus is praying, and as he's praying and he's closing off his relationship with his guys, he's praying for oneness. And what's interesting that Jesus prays for is he says, I want my brothers to be one as we are one. And Jesus models oneness and brotherhood. He's like, as I am one with the Father, so may they be one with each other. And Jesus is commanding us into brotherhood. He's like, look, you can't do life without this. I'm modeling it between me and my Father, and you guys need to model it to each other. So I think that's just incredible.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know.
That's awesome. Question for you.
Yeah, sure.
So how do you jump from groups of men to like building kind of that a brotherhood? So you got that guy that you go to type of thing. I think I've experienced that with a lot of guys where we'll hop from, group to group, barbecue to barbecue, ball game to ball game. How do you take that first step in building a relationship that's going to have more vulnerability in it?
Yeah, I think that's great because, I think a lot of men start with kind of the educational approach to building a relationship. Like, I want to learn something from you. You have a skill I want to develop in my own life. I want to learn. We take a position of a student, which is purely educational at some point. Like, for example, maybe I want to send underneath you because you're a great salesperson, for example, and I want to learn sales skill, but I want to learn the way that you do it, right? It's kind of like in New Testament times, you kind of had this rabbi-student relationship, right? It's purely educational. But I also believe that there's another step where it becomes transformational. It's not just educational, it's transformational, where you're kind of going, wow, I really not only want to know how you do things, but I want to know why you do the things that you do. Because there's something in you that I see that I wish I had, and it goes beyond just your skill and your intellect and your education and your leadership. It's something about who you are in Christ. And I think that's what makes brotherhood inside of Christianity different. And the way that I typically do that, if I'm going to invite someone into it, is I usually start with the skill piece. Like, I have a couple of relationships right now in my life that started from saying, look, I want you to mentor me as a leader, but I also knew there was something more I wanted out of those guys. It was like, how do they lead spiritually their family at home and business, not just with leadership principles, but that spiritual, like I saw something in them innately spiritual. And I started over time getting more vulnerable, which is hard for guys, I think. I think we have a hard time taking this leap right here as being vulnerable. It's like sharing how I just screwed up something with my wife, or sharing how I blew up with my kids, or sharing how I completely miserably failed at something at work. And I've had every one of those moments. Maybe in the last month, bro. But having a safe place where I can share that with a guy, that takes that whole relationship to another level. Look, I need to bring something with you today. I mentor guys all the time for a cost, actually. They sit with me for a cost, and I mentor them. And it takes guys a little bit of time to get there. So I had one of my mentees, after 7 meetings, finally send me a note this week. It was remarkable. He confessed all kinds of things in it regarding his pride, his relationship at home, his relationship at business, his manipulation, all that kind of stuff. And in this long letter, I went, there he is. He finally showed up. All this other stuff was just mentoring skill, giving him direction. But all of a sudden, he exposed himself, and I went, there. Now our relationship just went to another level, because now in disclosing all this, we can get after some meat. So that's how I choose to do it with other guys. But I think it takes time. That's the point. Right. It may take 5, 6, 7, 20 meetings for us to understand this sense of vulnerability, but it's better to be vulnerable on this side rather than to be vulnerable after tragedy.
Yeah.
Vulnerable after tragedy is just Band-Aid work to something that's already created devastation. Vulnerability before tragedy is kind of like a preemptive strike toward tragedy, and it keeps man away from tragic events in his life. So guys, that's where I'd want to encourage you today. Just like Tyler and I are sitting here together, man, it's better to be preemptive and build some brotherhood around God's word with a book like this than it is to like wait until your life is devastated. So go build brotherhood today. Don't wait any longer. Go out, Invite some guy that you respect, that you have chemistry with, into a relationship. Grab coffee, drinks, whatever it is. Grab a lunch and say, will you mentor me with this book right here? And have some fantastic conversations, just like we're doing here. You can grab your copy of this book for your men's group or your men's leader or your pastor or the person you want to mentor right at beresolute.org/30. That's THIRTY. Go grab one today. And guys, with that, I want to say thank you. And we'll see you right back here next time on another edition of Man Talk.